Today I'm going to talk to our class a little bit about the two men that we were supposed to kind of look into a little bit, find more about who they are and their beliefs on education. And I read some of the readings that were given to us, and then I also searched a couple of videos. The first one I watched was William Julius Wilson. He was speaking to Holy Cross just at a little speaking engagement. And basically what I got from that video was he was calm when he was talking, very low key, but very opinionated as far as obviously he's an African American male, so he has a big say in race and how that plays out in schools. And he feels like inner city schools, and he was talking about New York, and there are some big issues as far as race and how people are treated, and the equality levels are not fair. But he also gave credit and said that some schools, they do a really good job of implementing everybody. Everybody has a say, and everybody has a voice. But mainly from him, there's frustration from certain people, just that why not? Why can't people have a chance just because they didn't grow up gifted from the start, or they had the opportunities that, other students or kids did not growing up. And so therefore they're just set behind. Well, he doesn't really think that's fair, and, neither do I. I don't think that just because, if I could take could take lessons for music every single day growing up, doesn't mean I should have a better chance to, make the band team or whatever it might be. But, obviously if you're better at something, then you deserve it, but give everybody a fair chance and have an equal playing field. The next person I watched a video on was Jonathan Kosel. He was a little bit more radical with his beliefs. He was more vibrant when he spoke. So that was nice for me to actually watch them in video, because I feel like you get a better sense of their beliefs and how opinionated they are when you actually see them speaking, during a live engagement, than just reading what they believe on paper or in an article. So watching them on video was really eye-opening. And he kept emphasizing the point, and they're both former Harvard students, so they both kind of have a little bit of the same background. But obviously one's African American, and that's Julius Wilson, and then the other one, Kosel, is white. And does that have a big differential in their opinions? Not necessarily. They both kind of agree that race plays a factor in education. But Kosel really emphasized that why not put everything we have into those students or kids that are poor, or they're going to be disadvantaged later in life. Get it figured out right away. And I kind of agree with that too. It's like help people out before it becomes a problem. It seems like in today's society, or teachers, they're just like, oh, they play it off. It's not going to be that big of a deal. We'll worry about it when we need to worry about it. Well, why not fix the problem and get the problem solved before it becomes an even bigger mess? Because, if you know a student's going to be a problem in high school for you, and maybe you only have them 1 year in elementary for some reason, and you're like, I don't need to deal with them, I'll get it figured out in high school, or how to teach them, or how to handle them. Why not get it figured out in elementary, so it not only benefits you, but all the other staff and faculty at your school? So I think a lot of it is we need to pay attention. I agree with Kosel in that paying attention to what problems we're going to run into, and putting as much time and effort that we can to solving those problems. He said when they're babies, or when they're in preschool, at a really young age. So, obviously as a teacher in a K through 12 school, you're not going to be able to impact them as babies or preschoolers, but, at kindergarten, you can really set the groundwork for how they need to behave and how they can be successful, instead of just giving up on students just because they, didn't have as many opportunities. So then some of my beliefs about the topics that we were kind of given for our paper. For me, it's just really frustrating when you hear other teachers say, oh, well, they don't have any money, so they don't they don't have a say, or that student, he's from a different country, so we can't really take his opinion into account. Or, you just hear that sometimes from other teachers that they don't get the benefit of the doubt, or, I know there's some other teachers out there and it's completely unfair and prejudiced and biased. But, if you're from a different country or have a different skin color, you know, teachers are more worried about that student for, a conflict or a certain problem. So that's an area of concern that I don't like to see, and that's, my beliefs are everybody's equal until they prove otherwise. If they're a problem, then yeah, you need to get on them, and they don't maybe deserve as much of your respect. But as far as an equal and level playing field, everybody should get that chance, the first day they walk into school. And then if others deserve more opportunities or deserve to be on the team or deserve more credit, yes, so be it. If they worked hard for it, good. But don't just be biased or prejudiced towards either somebody because of the color of their skin, they're from a different country, they speak a different language, they are one of the poorest families in the community. For me, sometimes you see students that they grew up with nothing, so that made them work even more harder to get to the top or to become more successful. So there are a lot of success stories out there are from students that, grew up in a low social class, or they started in Mexico and they moved here, or they are African American, or they're Latino. It doesn't necessarily matter. Everybody has a chance, and some people it makes them work even harder because they have that so-called bias or different quality to them when there shouldn't even be that judgment factor. And then the last thing on our paper was, did the election of Barack Obama help with diversity and equity? I think obviously if you hire an African American president for the first time, that's going to break some barriers, and you would think that helped with diversity. And it just showed that no matter the color of your skin, hopefully your background, that you can do things and be successful. And I think that proved that to a lot of people, a lot of African American people for sure. And it proved that you can be successful and do things even if you are an African American. And that had always held back people in office, being the president. There was no African American president, and now there was. So that definitely did break some barriers. As far as people's beliefs, in our country, people will always kind of hold their biases sometimes. So, there's always going to be those people that say, I don't care if he's president, it doesn't matter. We need this or we need that. And, you get that. But I think it did. I mean, it created some diversity, and it opened the doors to other options and people feeling confident to do things. So, and that's always a good thing. And so that was a little bit about my paper and some of my beliefs.